Yay! Hi, everybody. On round 3 of phase 2 website refresh, updated most visited pages, I am going to share my screen. So this is a quick kickoff. Nobody has anything to do right now on here, but I wanted to go through what the scope of this update would be. So the idea here is that we are going to update the top 20 pages within GitLab with a very small scope, just so that we get some updates going. They're not stale, and there are things that, like, real quick things that we can fix. So the first thing that we want to do is, to get more impressions, we want to confirm content on the page is up to date. So Erica, that's where you are going to be taking the lead on there. Pretty much making sure that that piece of content, we don't need to make new content for this update. We just want to make sure that the content that's there is the best piece of content that we have. So we could swap out for more relevant content. Also adding path factor.
A clarifying question on that.
Sure.
When you say content, do you just mean the content we're linking to, but do you also mean content on the page, i.e. page copy?
I just mean the content that we're linking to start off with.
Cool.
Yes. And then adding path factory links. I don't know what we could do for SEO. I'll look to you guys for that. Just updating them will help us on SEO. So that's a good start. So for MQL conversions, adding CTA buttons for a free trial or something relevant just on there. Like, if you look at some of these pages, they don't have relevant CTA buttons that we could put on there. And then just making sure that the copy on those CTA buttons is consistent and is following what we know currently as best practices. Then on here, we want to clarify the goal and purpose of each page and the metadata. So this was something Danielle had talked about, just so that when somebody comes in to contribute, they can know what the purpose of this page is. And then if we go in there, 3 years from now and we don't remember what we've done, we can have that written in there as well. The other thing is, and this is a quick one, so this was suggested by Shane Bouchard, who's not on the call today, but doing mobile optimization. However, we want to keep the scope of this super, super small. So like, this is only if this can be done in a week, and this is like making sure it's not just blown up in mobile. Also, the data that we have is that about 80% of people look at these web pages on the actual computer. So mobile's not as important to us. So that can be something that we talk about later. And then I just wanted to scope out brand check. For these, we just want to make sure if there's anything wonky with like alignment, where somebody would just look at it and say that, like, ooh, this page is not made by like a company that cares. We can adjust some color schemes, and we can swap out visuals for more relevant or newer assets, because the design team has been churning out a bunch of icons and assets, so we can do those things, but I want to limit that to the actual design scope for these pages. So are there any questions about this or concerns?
When you talk about phase 2 and this list, how should we think about time? Like, is each page an issue? Is this waterfall? Like, how do we think about that?
So this will be an epic per page, because there's going to be production that goes into it. So I'm going to start those. I have started this right now with we did the information gathering, we've done the scoring system, is doing the audit of each of those pages for that scope. So I've pulled those. Shane Bouchard is on that. I need to look at the timing for this. Danielle, I wanted to ask you this question for how much time we have. Is, if this is a Q3 goal, is our goal to have this done by the end of Q3, and we can do paid, like we can set this page as this page, this page, this page, so that by the end all 20 of them are done? Or do you want it done sooner?
Well, if you give me the offer for sooner, I'll take it. But I think like maybe the higher level principle is for us to be gaining momentum. So like for now, I feel like it might take us, like, in a week we might update 3 pages, and then in a week we might update 6. Like, so I would love to see us starting to go faster and faster.
Okay.
I also think there's a lot of value in just keeping the scope really small touching these 20 pages and then identifying the next 20, because I think there is probably a lot of low-hanging fruit. So I think I don't have a decisive answer. I would say I'd be a little disappointed if we only did these 20 pages in an entire quarter. That feels a little bit light. But I also feel like by doing them, we're going to see a lot of other things where we should be writing like follow-up issues.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, that's why I agree with you. That's kind of why I don't want to overscope this, because one, we know how you can start doing something and all of a sudden you find out that there's some like weird back end thing that is going to take a ton of time to fix. I mean, that's not really what this is here, which is why I'm trying to keep it pretty simple. I have a due date of August 31st on this for them all to be done, which I feel is reasonable. Okay.
Yep.
I just want to offer one suggestion. As far as grouping the work, instead of having an epic for each page, can we have an epic for each critical rationale? Or you know what I mean? So like we can say, okay, so we want to group the top MQL driving via score, top drivers to MQL drivers, top traffic, low MQL driver, group those, because that a lot of that work is contextually the same. And so that way we can have one group, you know, you can have whoever you assign to that can be focused on that group of pages. And then the individual work can be issues within that epic. Just something I was thinking about as I looked at this list.
Let me look at it. The only reason that I am a little bit hesitant to do that is just because then it's going to be harder to track in a roadmap which page, like the page is done, the page is done, the page is done.
Yeah, can you show the roadmap view, Becky?
Yeah.
So Shane, one thing we're trying to do is we're trying to actually use this awesome roadmap epic feature in GitLab.
Yeah, so right now, this just shows up as phase 2 website update refresh. But what it would do is it would show like this page is done here, this page is done here, this page is done here, so that we can, as it like expands, it'll show that those are the pages that are going to be done.
So sadly, right now, the roadmap doesn't work for issues, Shane. So that's why we were hoping to use epics, but totally hear you on wanting to bucket the work.
Yeah, I just think from my perspective, like if I have to go update like an epic every time I make an update, that's just adding administrative work on top of that. You know what I mean? So like, I'm not saying we don't need it. I'm just, you know, I see that and don't want to continue to add additional work on top of what we're, you know, achieving on the page.
Becky, will they need to update epics or will they only update issues?
They'll only update issues. So we could relate. So Shane, what we could do is we could make sure that when we make an issue for one page, it's related to the same issue in all those other ones. So if you're in one issue and you're like, oh, I need to do the same thing for this page, it's already listed in that issue as a related one. And then we've just done an update to the handbook about the way the information you should put in an epic, because I had the same conversation with Danielle where I was like, it becomes completely out of hand when you're having to update it in like 6 different places. So what we're doing is like the top level will have, here's like the problem and the solution. And then that's broken down into like, here's the overall strategy. It's in the handbook. I'll send the link in a second. So you shouldn't have to go to that epic and update it, because that information is just going to be in the issue. Like that's where all of those things are. So we're going to try to start avoiding having to like constantly update things in 3 different places.
All right.
Yeah. And let's test it out. And if it doesn't work, then we'll make adjustments.
Can I ask a question about the overall epic? Or Becky, was there more you wanted to go over there?
No, go ahead, Jonathan.
I think this is a Shane question. Do we have a way to create a dashboard of these pages and their effective MQL creation rates? And the reason I ask that is there's a non-zero chance that because several of the pages in the middle of that list funnel through to the pages at the top of the list, we could actually make this worse on accident. So do we have a way to track like how this is doing overall? And maybe that just means rescoring, or I'm not sure.
Yeah, so in Google Analytics, we have events for CTA clicks. So we can see how often, you know, people are clicking through to free trial on these pages. So we can definitely have a dashboard for that to track overall. As far as these specific pages, let me think about what we need to do to create a filter for that, basically.
Yeah. So you said it better than I did, but essentially I'm worried if we make a change on free trial that looks good in isolation and then change 4 of these pages that all lead to free trial, and it turns out, oh, the flow doesn't work now. Like, I want to catch that fast so we can fix it. Yeah, that's just my concern.
The good news is that with conversion, especially with free trial, product growth is also watching. So
we'll notice quickly.
We catch it, but they will catch it too.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah, and I think that this is something that for this particular, because the scope is so defined, and we're just going to be like adding a CTA button to go to the free trial if it doesn't exist on some of these pages, that I don't think we run as big of a risk this round. I think as we continue with updating pages, that's something that we need to take into consideration, because that will definitely be something to worry about when we do major updates.
Yeah, and the other, I totally agree with you. And the other reason I ask is, I think we are going to probably in the next quarter or so get to a cadence where we're making a ton of updates really fast. And that's where the risk comes in, is it's like, wow, we updated 35 pages in the last 2 weeks. Where did we mess up? Or not? Or where did we have huge success? And how can we do it? So thank you.
Okay. So for this scope on here for Shane Rice, do we want to add thinking about a way to track, or like some sort of like a deliverable on here for Shane Rice would be what we would do when we're doing page updates in the future?
Yeah, have like a V1 dashboard just to create some space for Shane to think about. Because I think if we're going to keep doing this, Shane's going to be impacted. So if he is involved from step 1, then he can have an iterative dashboard. I think, Shane, the only thing I would say is like, it's okay if it's really basic for V1. So don't feel like you have to spend a ton of time.
Yeah, no problem.
That'd be good. I think the other thing is this is a project that is going to get a lot of visibility in the company. As you saw, I cross-posted, some of the website refresh stuff. This is something I know is on Sid's mind. It's on Todd's mind. So I think another important thing with the dashboard is people are going to want to know how we're picking and that it's actually working. So we'll need some accountability. So that dashboard will make that a lot easier.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take from this meeting, Michael is delivering to me kind of that list of things that need to happen for website development, as like, here's a standard, right, that we should be implementing, and about how much time that takes. And then I'm going to fill out that entire Gantt, and I will then get back to you guys on kind of like the production issues that we have. If you want, in this issue here with the audit, I have screenshotted every single one of these, and Shane Bouchard is, his step is to put them into a Figma file so that we can comment within that Figma file on those things. What I think I would like to do, Danielle, is I'm going to put the scope in the Figma file so people can stay on track when they're making suggestions.
Cool. Sounds good.
So yeah, that's all for right now, and I will get back to you guys all for next steps and for when you need to start kicking stuff off.
Great. Well, I think we can wrap it up. I see no blockers as I scroll through the status updates. So maybe if everyone can just take a minute to read those and reach out to each other if you need anything, that's awesome. Becky, thanks for taking the time to go over this.
Sure. Thank you, guys.
See you all soon. Bye.